Welcome to Inspection Pro Joe, episode 4. We're very happy to have with us today Brad Williams of the Closing Guys Media. Brad is a video and marketing expert, and we are very happy to have him here today to get his take on video and marketing in the home inspection industry.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Very excited to have you. I think the home inspection community can learn a lot from what you do with video production within their own business. As we see, I always make the joke that my kids will never read an article. They're going to watch videos. And so if you aren't implementing video in your business, we're so happy to share Brad with you guys because we think this community can benefit tremendously in any business, not just home inspections, but home services and business in general. If you aren't implementing video, you need to listen to Brad on why it is extremely, extremely important for you to start doing this in your business. And so we're just so excited that he can add tremendous value to you guys in your business. And we're really excited to have you, Brad. Thank you for being here.
Awesome. Well, that is quite the introduction. I hope I have equal value to share.
All right. So the first question I have for you today, Brad, is what are people doing in the home inspection industry? What are the most popular marketing decisions people are making? And what do you think about them?
The main source of marketing that I've seen, and I've been a part of the two big mastermind communities in home inspections, is all centered around real estate referrals. And, in the home inspection industry, that is the prime source of business. As a side note, I have a home inspection business too. That's actually how I got into doing video for business. But that's the primary way we get business. That's like kind of the primary way, is because, a home inspection client, they're not buying a house very often. I mean, it's 7 to 10 years between people buying homes. So you're not going to get a lot of repeat business unless their house ends up being a problem. And, sometimes clients call back 2 or 3 times, but that's not a real happy thing. That's not really what you're going for. But realtors, they are the trusted referral partner for the home inspection client. And so that's the primary source. So people go about that a lot of different ways. One of the big things I see people do is they sponsor the party type events. They go and whatever it is. Well, I guess not so much this year, but in the past, that's what we see. They go and get the booth at the show thing, or, they sponsor the Christmas party. I know with Keller Williams type offices, they offer a lot of opportunities for people to spend money for parties. The other thing that I see is, certainly I don't know if it's how popular it still is, but, candy bowl marketing, which is just another way to be in a real estate office. It's all about breaking that barrier for most guys. And I think that's a good thing. That's what you want to do. I mean, having those relationships is invaluable. But, if you don't have a great method to do it, spending $1,000, $500, $2,000, whatever it costs to sponsor an event may not yield anything for you. And, when it comes to marketing, it's all about repetition. It's all about memorization. It's all about kind of a long-term relationship as you move people through a funnel. So one-time events are probably not going to change someone's buying habits. We all do what we're comfortable with, right? So we don't want to change. So you need something that you can follow up with. The other thing that I do see in the digital world is small businesses pay for an SEO person to do SEO things for their business. And there's a lot of holes in that as well. But before I go down a long rabbit trail on that, those are the two big things I think that I see. Not a bad idea. They're just incomplete. They're both very incomplete methods.
All right. And so you had talked about the real estate agents and how that relationship is so important. And last week we actually had Stephanie Weinstein, a real estate agent, on, and she said that now it is really hard to get in touch with real estate agents in person and to form the relationships in person. Is there a way you recommend being able to use video to reach out to real estate agents and form that relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. I know, that's a very, very good point. In the world we live in today, people are not getting together, and that was already falling apart. So it's not like, oh, when COVID's over, we'll go back into the office. If you've been in this world, you know that going to a real estate office has been an activity with diminishing returns for some time. I remember when we started our home inspection business, I guess about 8 years ago, we would go into the offices, and there was a couple of offices that still had sales meetings that people came to, but it wasn't very long before we realized that only a handful of agents come. And I saw something, it's a little crude, said, but it's we got to keep this in mind, is the agents that come to the meetings in the office, and we're talking outside the COVID world, it's not the top performing agents. And the difference between the agents who are just trying to get by and a high performing agent, and Joey knows all about this, is the difference between maybe like 1 or 2 home inspections in a year and maybe like 30 or 40.
Wow, that's a
Yep.
big difference.
You know, our best agents are doing 20 to 30 inspections with us a year. And we're not even working with some of the top agents. So it can be even more than that. But so you think about that. If you have a list full of people sitting in your business and they're all just people struggling to get by, you're going to need a lot of agents to have much of a home inspection business. So how do you go about that? How do you use video with those kinds of things? Well, the first thing with any of this stuff is you need a list. So you need a way to build your list. That would be your number one priority. And that's like the number one priority with any kind of digital marketing, is having a list. There's certainly many ways to go about that. I suggest you get it in a way where people give you the information. So, there's a lot of creative things, like things we did in the past. We did CE classes, and that was a great way to put people on our list. And they were happy to be on our list because we showed them we could give them value. And that's the second point. So the first point is have a list. The second point is use that list responsibly. And you use a list responsibly by being a source of value to people. If people, we're all experiencing problems. We're all living out a story. And the only problems we care about is our own. And we don't want to hear about your story or your problems. So whether you're a home inspector or any kind of small business, so as a home inspector talking to agents, you need to talk to your agents' problems and offer them information that is a solution. And so you're asking me about video, and I'm going all around the bush here, but these are the pillars that you use to do video. So what we recommend, what we do when we work with clients is we recommend that a majority of what you send out to people, so whether you're putting it on social media, on YouTube, or via email, and you should be doing all of them, is that you're producing something that meets that requirement. And we call it nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a list. That means there are people that I have a relationship with, or I'm at the beginning of a relationship with, and I want to provide them value, which means I need to figure out what is it they struggle with? What is it that would help them? And so once I know those questions, then what I make video about becomes a lot easier. One of the big things that we've been saying, and if you've got a chance, we've been at some of the big conventions this year, and this is what we talk about, is that you're an expert. Home inspectors are an expert, especially when it comes to the voice they have with the home buyer or the home seller. Mm-hmm. And so lending that expertise in a voice that's solving a problem is how you use video. Video is a medium. So you can't think of it as an end all. It just happens to be the medium by which most people want to consume information. So your videos can be things that solve problems. And by putting them in video form, you get a ton of benefits.
And it sounds like you really do have to empathize with the client to understand what kind of value and services you can provide to them that they actually need. And so if you notice that that's something you have to do, you have to put yourself in their shoes. And, being someone who was a home inspector, I'm sure that you have, the perfect background for this.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the short answer is yes, you should empathize. So you want to position yourself. So I'm going to give you guys kind of a thought here on who you should be with when you're talking to your clients. So if you're talking to realtors or you're talking to potential clients, is most of us think of ourselves as the hero of a story because we're the hero of our own story. And I don't mean that in like an egotistical way, mm-hmm. Although maybe some home inspectors, I know some home inspectors that, think that, they're pretty good. but we're the hero in our show. We're the star of our own show. But when we enter into someone else's story, we can't be the hero. There can't be two heroes. They're the hero of their story. So that means we need a different role. And there's actually a better role to play, and that's being the guide. You are the hero. So, my favorite reference for this is Star Wars. You have Luke Skywalker, right? He's the hero. But then you have the guide, Yoda, right? So when you look at this situation, that guide plays a very vital role. The hero has a problem and doesn't have the solution. Heroes are weak. They have to change. They have to get better. The guide is strong. The guide is knowledgeable, and he provides them a path to get there. So I say all this to tell you the two pieces that are important in being a guide. There's two pieces you have to have. And the first one is empathy. You have to have understanding. But that's not enough, because people don't just trust you if you're empathetic. That's nice. You're empathetic. But piece two is authority. And so the problem I actually see with what most home inspectors do is their marketing, their forward facing, so say their website is all about their authority. People don't need to see 20 certification badges that you have on your website. One or two will do the job. People like to see, so what builds authority? So certifications, that type of third party authority that you are qualified. Social proof is probably the best one. So if you're not using a service that helps you gain reviews, you should be, because social proof is very important. People don't care to read the reviews. They just want to see that other people, have trusted you. And so you have the two pieces. You have understanding and trust, and trust comes in the form of authority. You only need a little bit of authority. You're checking a box. The empathy, like you said, is probably the most important part. But the other thing that I just want to touch on what you said is it's not always about your offer to them. If you speak to their problems, when I say speak to people's problems, you have to think about the voice you want to have in this. You want to agitate their problems. You want to remind them that they're having a problem, because that's how you get people's attention. So going back to a movie reference, right? So if we're watching, the beginning of Transformers, that's another movie that I like. If Shia LaBeouf, I don't know how to say his name, but that's the approximation of it, has a story. He's with his family. He's a young kid. He's not real popular, whatever, yada, yada, yada. If that kept playing out for 30 minutes or 40 minutes or an hour, we just turn it off. It would be horribly boring. It wasn't interesting until Bumblebee crashes into his house and takes over his life. I mean, until he gets the car and things start completely falling apart. The problem is what hooks us into a story. And so by speaking to other people's problems, you draw them in. So is that helpful to your question? I know I went on like another big tangent.
No, yeah, that's great. It is very helpful. Joey, how does this sound to you?
This is, I think what you've described is relationship building 101, and you're just translating that to a video, which is huge, because from a home inspection standpoint, just being at the home inspection from being there, speaking to clients, getting to realtor, it's all about trust. It's all about building relationships. It's not about talking about yourself. It's about talking to them and their issues and being concerned about them. People, like Brad's exactly right. People don't want to hear about my problems. They want to hear you commiserate with their problems. And that's so true, and so by doing that through video, because of COVID-19, is huge. And so as you guys are making videos in the home inspection world, you have to ask yourself, what problems do realtors face with home inspections? What problems do listing agents face with home inspections? And make videos that speak to those problems and then have a solution for those problems. I think, you brought up a very interesting point about trust and authority. And trust comes, if you don't know somebody, by being consistent with them. And so by having a marketing campaign, by having a video campaign where you're constantly showing up through video on social media, That's a way to build trust with people. I can't just make one video or do one podcast and people are going to believe in what we're doing. We're going to have to show up every single week. We're going to have to do video every single day, maybe 2-3 times a day. And by doing that, you're going to build tremendous trust with the people you're trying to get business. Because if they're seeing you day in and day out, they may be using another home inspector, but they're seeing you show up where their other guy they're not seeing. They're only seeing him when they have a home inspection. They're seeing you daily, weekly, where him they're seeing every couple of weeks when they sell a house on the buy side. So trust is so important. And I think another way to build that is through consistent content that adds, and Brad's exactly right, that speaks to problems, that adds value, that provides a solution is tremendously huge. Tremendously.
It
You
sounds
brought
like
up
In any area of your life, not just business.
you brought up some really good points there, Joey. I just want to touch on a couple of them, if that's okay.
yes,
Yeah,
please.
So
Right.
talking about trust, right? I heard it said this way, and I really like this, and building your brand, right? So you think about like your brand and small businesses, or I would have even thought small business, like, oh, we don't have a brand. That's for big companies. That's like the Goodyear blimp, that's branding, or Coca-Cola being on everything. But your brand is actually something different. And the best way I've ever heard it said is that its promise is kept.
Yeah.
That's your brand. And so however you communicate with the world in every sense, in the whole holistic sense, from the time people see you the first time to the time that they have their service delivered, those are all opportunities to keep promises. And that's what a small business's brand is built on. So here's about the video. The cool thing here is video provides this really unique opportunity to build trust. It's like the next best thing to in person.
Yeah.
And if everybody's, think about it, we live in a time where the next best thing to in person is pretty important. And this was effective and important long before COVID, but it's real important right now. We need the next best thing to in person. So I know something that we experienced. So when we started implementing video into our home inspection business, we made videos and we talked about, giving information that was either valuable to the realtor or would be valuable for the realtor to share with their client. That's another way to do it, right? So like they may need to relay some information, and instead of them having to say it, their trusted home inspector can explain it for them. And so that provides like some, pass through value. Here's what would happen. We would show up to an inspection and people would talk to us like they already knew us because they had met us on the video. And almost every single job that our business gets off the internet now, people are like, I love your videos.
Yep.
I love watching those. I had a lady come up to me at a job when I was still in the field. And she came up to me and she shook my hand. She said, I am just so excited to finally meet you.
And I love it.
And I'm just like,
That's
what?
awesome.
I'm the home inspector. She's like, I've been watching your videos, and it's just, I'm glad that you're here and I can finally meet you and you get to be a part of this. That's the kind of trust that this has an opportunity to build. And so the other thought that you said here is consistency. And none of this works if you're not consistent. So that's like the number one. That's like, so if the number one rule is be valuable, the number two rule is you have to be consistent. And that's not just from a relationship. We know consistency builds trust, but beyond that, there are so many competing voices out there that if we don't use mediums like video and we don't figure out how to use them and reuse them in multiple places, no one's going to see it.
Yeah.
One video is seen by no one, but consistent video placed everywhere that you have a forward-facing, image over and over and over again starts to get seen by people.
Yep.
You have to assume. Great piece of information I got, piece of advice I got is you make content, make videos and post them as if no one is seeing them. So that's a fear I get with businesses. They're like, oh, I don't want to post that too many times. What if I put this same video out, too many times? I'm thinking, nobody's going to see it. I mean, like 10% of your audience is seeing it
Yeah.
on most of the social networks. So you might as well post it over and over. I'm not saying post the same video every day. I
Yeah.
think everybody can get the nuance here, but it's okay to be repetitive. And repeating your message is what people need to hear to build that trust. They know that you're consistent. You don't say one thing one day and another thing another day. You are saying that same message and speaking it into that you mean it.
Yeah. And so I have a question about that fear. So I'm sure it's incredibly vindicating when you have that interaction with the woman to know that not only are your videos actually being seen, but they're humanizing yourself and helping you connect with the customer before you even meet them. But before that, at the beginning of your journey, I'm sure that there was fear. I'm sure that you didn't see the path as clearly as you see it now. So I'm curious, how did you take it from, the first step in your journey to where you are now with the video marketing? How was
Um,
that?
well, it's actually an interesting story. Uh, when Before my son was born, we decided our house wasn't big enough, so we put it on the market. It didn't sell. I don't know why, but it didn't sell at the time. So we're like, we'll just put an addition on it. Forget all this move-in, listing, showing stuff. We'll just put an addition on the house. And when I started just before I started the addition, I had enjoyed watching other people's vlogs. I always thought they were fun, and I was like, I'd like to do that. And I was like, no, that might be fun. So I went out, I bought a GoPro. I got a little stick for the GoPro. And that was all the equipment I had. So it was a GoPro on a stick. And I documented the build of our house. And I did
Wow.
a pitiful job looking back on it. I didn't know what to capture. I didn't know what to get to really do it. And I mean, some of it came out okay. I mean, some of it's okay. But we made about 20 episodes, I think, 18 to 20 episodes of it. And at first it was really hard. I would turn on the camera and I would just stare at the lens and what am I going to say? And it felt super awkward. And it would take 6 or 10 times to get an introduction. And that's just part of learning a new skill. I mean, when you're a kid and you learn to ride a bike, you fall off a bunch.
Yeah.
The cool thing is video has built-in training wheels. You don't
Mhm.
have to post everything you record. You could take as many takes as you want and just post the one that you like. But we got this tremendous feedback from it. And everyone that I knew seemed to be seeing these videos. And they're like, oh, I've been loving watching your house stuff. When does the next one come out?
That's
And
awesome.
I was kind of surprised by that. And while that didn't really translate to business and it didn't have a business plan to it, it made a lot of sense. And I saw that this was something that could be done without a lot of equipment, a lot of cost. You don't necessarily have to be trained. I mean, I've always been okay speaking to people and
Mhm.
kind of coming off the cuff, but it wasn't that difficult. And from there, we translated into our home inspection business. And it was so easy to make videos and then get results. I mean, it's like our business just spiked right away. And it doubled our revenue in like a year or a
Wow,
year and a
that's
half.
impressive.
And we weren't really implementing full marketing strategies. Like that's the power of consistent content. Is I'm thinking, man, what if we had really put together like a great strategy with it where we were like using it properly, like what I do for clients now.
Mhm.
But the point is it works. If you just do it, it works. And so, we realized that we wanted to help people get over that fear. And we've done it a bunch of different ways, but the bottom line is you just kind of got to go out and do some awkward stuff at first. Don't be afraid to get a GoPro. And see now, I don't even have the latest iPhone anymore. It kind of stinks. But like this is an iPhone 11 Pro. This camera is as good as probably any camera you can buy under $2,000.
Wow, okay. So
And
that
the new Pro is probably just about as good as anything this side of a professional Cinecam.
yeah.
So
I heard it had Dolby Digital Cinema, cameras on there or something like that, so that I'm sure,
well,
it's
what's
crazy.
amazing is like if you go out and take like a professional camera, and this is what's intimidating is learning some of these new things, and you take it outside. It takes some skill
Mhm.
to get a good image. They don't just do it automatically. Your phone does it automatically. it will make beautiful pictures and beautiful videos, and all you have to do is turn the thing on. Now, there are ways to make it better. I mean, there's some tricks of the trade, and we can talk about some of that if you want.
I would
But
love to.
the point is we have these tools now that we don't even have to go to the store and buy anything. I mean,
Wow.
I don't have it sitting here, but what you really need is something to hold the phone steady. A gimbal helps. I mean, the phone's pretty
Mhm.
good stabilized, but putting it on a gimbal and then go to town. And so here's the cool thing. Like, what I found with video was you don't need professional videos to get results with your content. It's the value of the content itself. It's the meat that works. That's the big takeaway that I got from what we did is I figured out it was the meat that works.
That's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, and I think for the home inspectors out there that are maybe shy doing video, we tend to be our biggest critics, just like Brad was. He thought he was doing people who would want to watch this. The content didn't seem to be great. I was making a lot of mistakes. The only way to get better about is to start doing it. You're gonna make mistakes, but for me, whenever I see somebody reading like a teleprompter, and it's or like they're doing a Facebook Live, and I can tell they're reading something, it kills the video for me because it's not authentic. I think now with reality TV, we like to see live stuff. We like to see people make mistakes because now I can relate to them. Where if they're reading and they're scripted, it's not real to me. And some of our best videos when we were doing live videos, we get a lot of attention and people love the live and they love to go back and look at the live. So as you guys start your video journey, try it all. Do live, do regular. You're gonna make mistakes, but as you keep doing it in the consistency part, you're going to do a lot better and a lot better to where maybe you're not even going to have to make notes before you talk. Maybe you're not going to have to put the bullet points and you're just going to be able to crush them and do them. And people are going to like that, I think, a lot better than if you try to get it perfect. People don't want to see perfect and perfect eye content. They want to see you pick your nose and touch your face and all that sort of thing because they can relate to that.
Well, maybe
And
don't pick your nose on your videos, but
yeah,
everything else is good. Yeah.
they don't pick it up. Yeah.
But it
They
sounds
wanna
like
Yeah, I got you. I think you're absolutely right. And authenticity is a weapon that we have at our disposal now. Like, it wasn't that long ago that only TV companies could make reality TV shows. Now you can make one with your phone and Facebook Live if
yeah,
you want to. And people
thousands.
like that because they get to see a glimpse of who you are. They
Yeah.
get to get something behind the scenes. Behind the scenes content is gold, is
Well,
absolute gold. And I think that there's two kinds of content. Like I absolutely agree with everything you're saying, Joey, but I just want to throw a caveat in there.
oh yeah, you're the expert.
You got to remember that people's attention span is short. So get to
Mhm.
the point.
Yep.
You got to give them like you got to get to the point. Like no long babbly
Mhm.
introductions. You can't just oh yeah, we're here today, and da, 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 da. Like, you can't do that for 2 minutes. People just flip it off.
Yep.
So no, you don't need to be scripted. In fact, that's a terrible idea for most people. Be authentic, uh, but try to be short and sweet. And
Mhm.
so that's the other cool thing. You don't have to perform for 10 minutes or 5 minutes. I mean, just say something valuable in 30 seconds or 1 minute
Yeah.
and share that. One
That's a,
point, one video is a great
I'm glad you
tactic.
mentioned that too, because timing a video is crucial.
So for a home inspector who sees this and says, "You know what? I want to get into video and I want to start doing it." What duration of video do you think they should start out with? Just something quick, 2 minutes. Is that effective on Facebook?
Yeah, I think under 2 minutes is a good place to start. Most people are not going to be interesting for 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Uh, and certainly if you're doing it unedited. So I kind of recommend people doing their own raw video. And if you're doing it raw and you don't need to learn to edit video, if you need edited video, hire a professional to do that, make a
Mhm.
commercial. But 10-minute videos need to have a lot of visual interest. They need to have a story. You start getting into those elements. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't do that. Like that's definitely attainable. I
Mhm.
went from not knowing how to do video to I professionally produce videos for people and I trained myself for the most part. I mean, I say that I've done a lot of online training and classes and courses and schools and all that stuff. But the point is you can learn to do as much as you want. but the shorter stuff is where you're going to shine in that authentic
Mhm.
kind of world. So yeah, under 2 minutes, you got 3 to 7 seconds to get somebody's attention.
All
So
right.
And I'm glad Brad's here, because there's probably a lot of home inspectors that maybe don't know where to go, where to turn. And so what we're going to do is we're going to post Brad's information for those of you that watch this and want to maybe have somebody help you start video. And that's the coolest part, guys. You don't have to do things on your own, and you need to make sure that you're partnering with the right people that can so you can reach your goals a lot faster. When you try to do things on your own, you're going to get there a lot. It's going to take you a lot longer to get there. And so make sure you're partnering up. And videos is huge. It's a huge, huge deal. If you're doing them, great. If you're not and you need help with that and you're uncomfortable, you don't know where to start, you don't know what to say, get with Brad. He is the best at video. He owns a home inspection business, so he gets what we do. And that is huge. He's not just telling you make videos about BS and all that stuff. He has direction. He knows our audience. He knows where our clients come from. And that is huge, huge, huge. And we are so happy that he's on this show. So make sure you listen to this. Make sure you re-listen to this podcast, because it's extremely, extremely valuable. And if you don't know where to go, get with Brad.
well, thank you so much for that, Joey. We'd love to work with home inspection companies. We've worked with several of them, and it's really fun to see people blossom into learning to do video. So yeah, we'd absolutely love to help people get a grip on that. Um, it can be simple, but simple and easy are not the same thing, and
Yep.
I understand that. And so, kind of getting over that barrier. How do I structure a message? What are the things do I need with my phone? All these kinds of little pieces. We'd love to kind of walk you through that and help you use video successfully, help you market successfully. I mean,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be a skill that's out of reach. So I appreciate all the kind words. I appreciate you guys having me on as a guest. It's fun to chat. I'm sure we could do this for a lot longer. I have so much on the tip of my tongue I'd love to share, but
Well, we might have to have you on again. I'm sure you'd love to do that. We would love to have you on again. Well, and
We'd
thank
love
you
to have
very
you on.
much for coming on.
sure. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. We'll do it.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Brad.
All right. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to episode 4 of Inspection Pro Joe. And now we are on Google Podcasts as well. So we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube. So stay tuned for more coming episodes. We're really excited with this podcast, and we're happy that we're able to have people like Brad on who can really offer a lot of value in a succinct fashion that's going to really help you grow your business. So thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much.